everyone. I can't see who's here, done that by choice. I would rather we were in real life so I can see you all and say hi, but I can't do that, so I've hidden everything, so I'm just going to talk to a flat screen. So obviously, yeah, so as Ellie said, I specialize in, I like to say people and portraits places. That's how I kind of say what I kind of do. This talk, I've tried to narrow down a lot of what I've learned about in my career and try and distill it down to a few key slides and a few key moments. Obviously, it's been put out as a kind of celebrity and story-based talk, so I've tried to, whenever I can, bring it back to that a lot. So let's start off. Okay, so this is me. This is me, little here. I think it's my mum. I think it's probably in this chat. My mum's very, very good like that. She's here. So hi, mum. How are you? I think my mum took this picture, one of the first pictures of me with a camera in my actual hand. So there, that is me. Okay, so first slide about me. Just a few questions about me because people always ask me these kind of things. When did I start doing photography? Around 1995, I would say roughly. I took a whole roll of film remembers those things of sheep, and I did that on this camera just here, which is a 35mm camera from Boots, the chemist. People from Toronto, that is like the Shoppers Drug Mart. I'm getting better at those kind of things. Do I shoot on film? Yes, I do shoot on film, but mostly when the client is paying because it's very, very expensive. Did I go to school for photography? Yes, I went to college in England for 2 years, which was really fun. Met a lot of great people. I then went to university for 1 year. I did get thrown out after 1 year, which was really great and really fun, but that was fine. I went straight down to working in photography. So actually, in the day, actually, what probably was a bit better for me. Which I've been asked actually a few times recently is when I start calling myself photographer, actually quite a good question. I'll say this image here on the right, if everyone can see my kind of little arrow thing. This was an image from my final major project at college in 2009, I believe. And this was a girl that I was with at the time. And the reason this image is so important because it was the first time that I knew what I wanted to capture and I was able to capture exactly that. So this was shot on medium format film and I was able to capture her in such a kind of gentle, angelic way. And it's the first time I'm ever able to do that. And then this is actually a print from the darkroom at that time. So anyway, that is me, bit about me. Where am I from? I'm from here. So people in the chat from London, you might want to know what that is. I'm actually from right here. This is Hackney. I live just here. I now live in Canada, Toronto, hence why it's bright right now and not dark. Which has been a pretty big change. Actually, it was snowing the last couple of days as well. But that is where I'm from. That is home. That will always be home. London, Hackney. Next slide. So the first thing that I really want to say to everyone is that I've come to quite a lot of these talks before and come to these in person and online. And you often try to compare yourself to the person talking like that, or at least I have done in the past. So what I really, really, really want to say to everyone, and assuming people in here maybe are junior photographers or just starting out or at school or at college, all that kind of stuff, the big thing is your story will be different. When it comes to any sort of job like this, a creative job where you make films or TV or take pictures, no one's story is the same. I don't care if you grow up in the same place at the same time, everyone gets little breaks at different times. So there's one thing you remember from this talk for the future is your story is always going to be different. So don't compare yourself to me or anyone else that you ever speak to or know, even if they're same age as you or younger, it's always going to be different. So that's the first thing I'll make very, very clear. So a little bit about my kind of background, so where I've come from and how I've got to this point here. So where did I start? I started right here in Sainsbury's. This was my aisle. So in about 2009-10, I was studying for that year at university. During the nights, I was working at Sainsbury's. I was stacking the shelves. This was my actual aisle. I was in charge of the cereal, jams, and juice aisle. So all these products here, I have touched every single one of these products and stopped them and faced them up. During that time, I was dating someone who lived 150 miles away, down south, quite far away. So to be nearer to her, I got a job. I got a job as a poolside photographer, and that is what it sounds like. I used to work at a big pool with all kind of slides and all kind of cool stuff for kids. My job was to sit there and get parents to come over with their kids and pose for a portrait in the pool, shoot the portrait, run upstairs, do the editing, and then sell them the portrait after that. Now, when you first look at it, and this is me looking very, very happy, it's a picture I could find of me doing this job. And this pirate is not me in the suit. I'm like, very, that's not me, but that is where I stood. That's my actual stood. So my background was always these rocks and this waterfall here. That was my background. Um, it felt like quite a boring job at the actual time, but now when I look back at it, actually, what a great job to learn how to pose and talk quickly. I had to talk to strangers. I had to sell to strangers. I had to convince people with their kids to come and trust me, to bring them towards me and put them on a thing. I then had to be able to pose kids and work with children, work with adults in a place where I can't control what's going on. I then had to very quickly take those files and do an edit, make them look as best as good as they possibly could, and then sell them to someone and then convince people to buy multiple of them. It was actually a really good job in terms of a baseline for all types of photography. So it might not be the most glamorous job in the world that I ever do, but a very good start, very good place to base myself. Okay. So let's do this kind of in a very like proper way. Um, so my next kind of stage, post all this via a brief stop working at Sainsbury's as a supermarket manager for a while, is I wanted to work in a real place, in a real photography place where there was photography every day. I think I remember saying to someone at the time, I want to work in a place where people take pictures. I have my own desk and I have my own Mac. I wanted the Mac really badly at that time. And I managed to find that. I found that. And I found that at a studio called Motel. I joined as quite literally the bottom rung of the ladder. I was a, what do you call it in the world? A apprentice, that's the word, earning, I was scared to say, but I think it was about £600 per month. It was quite a tight wage for a while, but you know, I kind of made it work with me and my partner. So yeah, I started off as an assistant. I would just fold hand towels for the bathroom. I would make coffee. I would do all the little bits. And by the end of my time there, which was around, I think, 4 or 5 years of working there, I was a studio manager. I'd be able to oversee an expansion from one big arch to three arches. And in that time, I had been on multiple sets. I built sets. I learned how to light all types of scenes, how to rent gear, what gear looks like, what gear works outside, inside, how to deal with happy people, unhappy people. And I say where to find gold floor paint in my thing because my actual boss at the time, John Wright, who's a very big photographer at the time, wanted me to find some gold floor paint, which doesn't exist. Doesn't exist, guys. That was my big first task. Anyway, these kind of pictures here show me doing that. So me on the left up here, this is me with John having to build a big breeze light, which is quite a scary light to use. This is me shooting a picture but behind the scenes, so laying about film in that context. This picture here is me when I had to break up the big cove, which is the big white set people shoot on. I had to break that up and clean up all the dust. It's me painting one of my many flats that I painted over the years. And that's me on my very last day of my studio. But the most important thing about this job is that I met my actual people here. There are so many people who are friends, very, very important friends to me, who have helped me out and been friends over my whole career. The important point is that I met my people here who have carried me on from this point. Anyway, next one. Anyway, so yeah, and then after a while, I realized that I was helping a lot of people do shoots. You know, I was organizing lighting, catering, which was all great. I learned a lot, but I wasn't shooting, and I knew that I wanted to shoot. So I'm just getting rid of that thing quickly. I wanted to shoot. So after a while, became clear that I needed to leave that job and move on somewhere else and go kind of freelance. Uh, Guess what happened within 6 months of me doing that, or 9 months of me doing that? Good old COVID. That was fun. Yeah, so that was pretty bad timing. But anyway, so I had to go out and I had to get more experience. So here's me assisting so many photographers. I work with people who do high fashion stuff. I work with people who do not so high fashion stuff. I work with people who do wedding stuff, people who do portraits for big brands, small brands, indoor, outdoor, in England, abroad, in France. Like this one's, I'm on a rooftop in France in this one. Basically, I went around the world effectively in the UK and doing all different types of shoots and it's assisting and lighting. And these are all these test shots that I've got. I've got a lot more than this actually. And one day I'll do some sort of calendar. So people used to joke about doing a kind of calendar. But you can see how different all these shoots are from this one in the middle, which is a natural light shoot. I learned how you can use a natural light very well and place your colorama or your background quite far behind. This one down here, using the actual, this is looking at Nottingham Forest ground. You can use the actual world and just put a bit of flash in there. These are all things I knew, but just seeing it in person really helped me able to gave me the strength to go and do it on my own. So all these shoots, this is a small amount of everything that I've learned and the people that I went out there to meet. More practice, more practice. Okay, great. Now it's time to start shooting a bit more by myself. Um, I do think that especially in these creative careers, fate just does play quite a good role in quite a lot of this. I had two friends who I knew separately, funnily enough. I knew one from the studio, from I talked about before, then one from something else. But they also knew each other, weirdly enough. And one day, just I kind of realized that both of them wanted to get a studio space, and I was catching between them both, and we all kind of made it work. So me and my friend, it was Barley and Craig. Hi, boys, if I ever see you. It was a lovely small studio, very tiny. It was a quarter of the size of one of the studios I used to run in my old place, but it was just enough for all of us. It was perfectly fine. You could do shoots, you could do everything. So we built half for an office, half for a kind of studio size space. No, that's really great. So what I did, a lot of them was just testing. I knew I wanted to get better with people. I knew the only way to do it was to a lot of people, different people, in different ways. At this time as well, from the assisting that I'd done in the past, in the last slide, I'd met someone who ran the model side of a very big place in London. So she started just to pass me girls a lot all the time, saying, "Hey, we got a new girl in town from Brazil or from somewhere crazy," and it was a really great test for me. So that started some of these shots that I did over those like couple years. So what a lot of this is, move that out the way, what a lot of this taught me was how to speak and light and talk all at the same time. These girls would come and see me. Some of them would speak, some English, but not all, a lot of English. And I was being able to make them feel safe, comfortable and happy to actually be there. And also happy that they were going to get some good shots from me, that I would be able to put across the kind of vibe that I knew what I was doing, even when I didn't know what I was doing. A lot of the time I was actually just testing out lighting situations, like this one down here at the bottom. This is when I used some kind of like curtains to make some kind of very strange light. I didn't know what I was doing with this, but it worked out really well. Same with ones over here. I'm just practicing, blurriness and trying to use blur to tell a kind of story about the hair. These are all great experiences for me. So I did this for about a year and a half or so. I worked with makeup artists, stylists that I'd met again from my previous time at the studio or being with people. And all these shoots taught me so much about me as photographer, what I love, what I want to shoot, what I'm good at, but most importantly, what I'm bad at. I knew what I was bad at, I knew what I was good at, and this really helped me. But what all these shoots did, and I was trying to shoot 3, 4 times a kind of week if I could, as much as they would give me, I would take anyone they would send to me. But what these shoots did was open the door to celebrities. Now, I think, as I said before, about no one's journey is ever going to be the same, so you can't copy what I'm saying. I don't exactly know if it was these pictures, but all I kind of do know is that I was posting a lot of this stuff, and then I got is it Instagram? I got a message somewhere. I was trying to find it before and I couldn't find it. And this person basically said that they'd seen my work and they'd had another photographer from their group had seen my work and liked it as well. And they'd at some point talked about it. I don't know where or when or what happened. And that then came around to me. So whoever that person was who spoke to, it was Rich Berry at Loftus Media, who really helped me out. I have a big connection to the BBC. Thank you, whoever that was, because I basically think those tests, whatever I was showing in them, someone like Rich, who's a very smart guy who knows good photography, he obviously saw something in that and then gave me the chance to go and do the same type of thing, but another higher level. So that opened the door to these kind of shoots. So again, so this is the same thing. It's posing, it's lighting, it's being able to talk to them, it's making them feel comfortable, safe, and confident I can do a good job. But with these guys, guys and girls, obviously, you only get seconds. You only get a couple seconds here and there. Um, Obviously, the picture that is on the front of the thing is this one here of Pedro. It was actually, I think, my second ever shoot for them. If I'd go back and do it now, I'd probably do it a bit differently. But I was almost too scared to even ask him for more. But with that one, I ended up actually being just one with him in a small little space. As you can see, small white stairwell with a big light above it. And it was a lovely, probably minute and a half, 2 minutes that like me and him spent together. He actually said, Pedro, that it had been quite a long time since he'd been left like this with someone alone. And it was kind of nice. We had a nice bit of, banter and chat, but I was trying to weigh up the bantering and becoming his best friend and getting a nice shot of him and trying to keep that balance quite even. It's the same stuff like that. This picture here of Helena Bonham Carter. Actors and amazing to shoot. This is the first thing I would like to say about this is that you don't need to give them too much what's the word, direction, I suppose. So with her, I found this kind of nice, gritty wall with some cool lights near it. I said to her something along the lines of, "Hey Helen, do you mind just going from posing up by this wall and giving me a nice big dramatic stance?" And she did, and you can see she's all dramatic, and the like mouth open, the lips. It's all kind of there. And this whole set is really nice actually. Funny story, actually. This is when my first pro camera died on me during her shoot. The shutter started to fail as I was shooting her. So I'm shooting one frame, two frame, looking at them. One out of two is black. The shutter's not opened up. So I'm panicking. I'm panicking. I'm panicking. And I just about got enough frames off that were clean, but that was the last day of my camera. So RIP my D800, which did me very well for many years. Yeah, and all these kind of shoots were all down the similar way of, can I make them feel safe? Can I make them pose up for me really well? And I'm going to have seconds with these because a lot of this stuff, you're fighting a kind of PR person and you're hoping that you're going to get a few minutes with them or seconds really. Anyway, I'll kind of talk about the PR people in a little bit. No, my time. How am I doing?
This is Ellie. You're doing absolutely fine, Gabriel.
Good, lovely. Okay, so PR. I thought this was the last slide. So this is an example from Cannes. This is Cannes Film Festival in France. And I was here and I was shooting a kind of, what's the word? Kind of event, I guess it was. It's a celebrity PR event kind of thing. And the two main stars were the guy on the right, Willem Dafoe, and the woman on the left, Diane. And they both have different PR people. So obviously, when I first get to the job, I go and find the client I'm working for. Then below that, I ask them, "Hey, who is the PR for these two people?" I kind of go and find both those people, the PRs, and I kind of like sit down with them. I'm like, "Hey, I'm here with the whole event. I just want to make sure I can get a nice shot of your client in this space while they're here to then go out and put it across their social media." Now, what is PR? Like PR is public relations, right? Like their job is to keep their person, their bit of talent moving on and make sure they're not late to all their things they have on the day. Because I'm sure during anything like Cannes, these two people probably have 7, 8, 9, 10 things to do in one day. Interview here, interview there, photo shoot here, photo shoot there, red carpet at the end of the day, and the party after. They're busy people. So I think a lot of PRs, when you add in a new thing into their kind of schedule, no is always the first answer. It's usually the first answer. So what I try and do is come across and just say to them, I just need seconds of your time, and this is for your client and why they're here. It's going to make the whole point of them being here better. So I have the two examples here. Is that Willem's PR, who I spoke to, let's just be polite, and wasn't the most nice person to me, and wouldn't get off her phone when I was trying to talk to her, just kept looking up at me like that, wouldn't look at me in the eye really. But I kind of spoke to her. I was like, I just need at the end, just 1 minute, 10 seconds, get a nice clean frame of him with the kind of branding behind him, all the colors. That'd be great. And she kind of somewhat agreed to it, maybe, yes, but wasn't really kind of up for it. Whereas Diane, her PR, I just said to her the same thing again. I just need your client for one minute. Trust me, it's all I can get. And in this one, I was able to bring my partner who's helping with the kind of like lights. And you can see how much better that picture is. That picture's got a nice, oops, sorry. That picture's got a nice catch light in her eye here because I was actually able to light that for a second. And it only took genuinely seconds to do this. But the difference between this picture and these two pictures here are wild. Okay, that's all I got of Willem before. He's having a nice time. This last frame here of Willem is as he's walking out, and I'm pushing through the crowd, shouting my way through, and I'm asking his PR, I'm asking her, demonstrate, please, one more shot. And she's like, no, no, no. She's walking away, walking away. So I run all the way in front of him. I stand in front of him and go, Willem, one shot. And I genuinely think I got 3 frames off. And that's the only sharp one that I got. So sometimes you have to know what's happening next because I had to be able to use my camera quickly to get that shot of him and to know that he was going to go up a certain path because his car came from there. So I knew I was going to put myself at least at that end bit. So this is a good example of know PRs, know how to use your camera and your lights very quickly, but know what's happening next and know how you can be valuable to kind of them. So that's quite a nice example I found. Hmm. All right, bit of planning and storytelling time. So so the left is obviously, Usher. I think everyone's heard of him. The right, I'm going to say her name wrong. It's Lorve. I can't remember her name, but she's amazing. She's a great jazz singer. She's absolutely amazing. Honestly, you should definitely go and see her at some point soon. So planning and storytelling. So this was a shoot for the BBC, and the way that I kind of got myself to this point was because at that time I was actually doing a lot of shooting with a 3D camera system. I thought about trying to put this into this talk, but it's so complicated that I can't break it down. We'll be here for 3 hours if I'm trying to explain to you guys what that means. So, but put it this way, I was trying out something very, very new. The BBC kind of liked, and they liked the idea of that. So that's why I kind of ended up getting this shoot. Um, so it's weeks of planning. I tried to find some emails, but I couldn't put them in without doxing people, all that kind of stuff. So I had to leave them out. But I had to go and meet the head of Radio One with a deck like this. I had to bring giant screens and big rolly cases to BBC and convince boardrooms full of people that I was worth their kind of time. There was a lot of time and planning and effort and pleading and hoping. And eventually someone said, yeah, sure, great, do it. This again is another good example of PR. On this day, he was meant to come up and do a performance, then go into one interview, and then come to me. And what ended up happening was his performance then went to two interviews, which then cut out all the time that I had. But I'd already talked to his PR first when they first got there and said to him, I'm all set up because I had chosen a light, one light, simple setup, simple background, simple kind of way to shoot it. Didn't go too crazy with it. I convinced him that I will set up ready to go. I just need him to come through my set and sit down. You can see here on this is my little notebook. So you can see, number one, live rehearsal images, shoot some of them. Number three, the main portrait setup. Even though I knew what I was doing, I still wrote down everything. I wrote down aperture with grid, middle, overhead, harsh at angles. You can see this light up here above me with a little grid hanging down, which kind of cuts out the light and keeps it very focused. Right there above me, all ready to go. Usher leaning on a C-stand, which is something that I wanted to get, and then a harsh flash picture. This was the reference page that I showed him. So when he came in and he basically sat down. I had that ready on a little sheet. And I was like, Usher, boom, here you are. I need this from you right now. My main tip when you're doing these kind of sheets, obviously these are great for any shoot. If you're doing fashion or product or whatever, so everyone on your team in the room knows what we're all trying to aim towards. So Usher knew instantly what I was trying to aim toward, which was those pictures. The key thing is I put pictures of him in it. So these bottom 3 pictures there are of him. So he's seen himself. So he knows how to do this because he was there kind of like doing that. Also, it just shows a kind of certain point of care that you've taken the time to really pull out the right people. Like I could have found some references of, white people or white women. He would have got the thing, but it's different to having a ball full of black men, so he can really feel himself. I know at the bottom there's one white guy down here. This was my kind of bonus shot, so I wasn't gonna. You can see in the end, it's actually number 5 here. If I had time, I wanted to do a harsh flash picture with him against a wall. I just like this reference. I was hoping that I would have time to do that, but unfortunately that didn't happen. But that's absolutely fine. That's what happens sometimes. You basically plan for what you really want, but know you're probably going to get less than that. So what happened after that? The result were all these shots here. So I had a full shoot basically of him. I had him wide, I had him mid, I had him tight, I had him glasses on, glasses off. Also, I had the BBC's first ever 3D portrait, which is something that if you want to know about that, please give me a shout at the end, ask me for it. I can send you all the pictures and all that kind of stuff, but too much to do right now. But the most important thing for me at the time was all these nice words from people. Everyone's saying nice things to me. And these were all people who were very high up at the kind of BBC, which is really nice of them. Uh, so, this is what I'm really here for. But in a world where you're often just you by yourself, nice words like "man alive, Gabe," what a set of shots, bravo, they actually mean more than most things, to be honest. So that's how I kind of made sure that I got this outcome because I knew what I was doing. I planned a shoot, I planned it simply. I didn't make it too complex. I made it something that everyone wanted and everyone got. This picture then ran as quite a big picture for the BBC during their live month. And then obviously he went and played the Super Bowl, I think, quite shortly after that. So that's how I kind of approached planning quite a big shoot, a big celebrity that came out quite well. Okay, so storytelling. All right. It's funny when I actually read back the actual talk and what I was going to talk about. There was so much stuff in it, Ellie. I'm hoping I'm going to try and get most of that in here, but it's quite a lot to talk about in half an hour or so. So,
That's
what is
absolutely
storytelling?
fine, Gabriel. And I'm keeping notes of the nice questions that people share at the chat, and we can address
Good.
them after you finish, but feel free to take your time.
Sure. Yeah, I actually prefer to have more time to talk, so I'm going to run through it quite quickly so we have a lot of time to chat if there are questions. Anyway, so what is storytelling? First of all, it's a very, very popular phrase right now. Um, I think it kind of started getting big in like 2022, 23, and then 24, people on kind of, LinkedIn started saying it. People who don't really tell stories started saying it. So it's a word that I think is getting abused currently right now. Um, but if, again, assuming everyone in this room or who's listening to this is a kind of like a creative person in some way, you're a photographer, you want to be a photographer, you make films, or you paint, or you draw, or you sing, or whatever the thing is you do that's creative. But I'm obviously coming from a kind of stills or film point of view. So, what is storytelling? And I think what is storytelling in a sentence? It's almost before, during, and after a moment in time. So the story can be simple. The story can be me drinking this glass of water here. There can be a before moment before I pick it up, me drinking it and me putting it down. That is a story. It's a boring story, but that is actually a story. Um, when it comes to kind of stills and film, my dad, hello dad, if you're here, my dad used to make films and TV in a very big way. He taught me when I was very young, wide, mid, tight. And that's it. That's all you need to tell a story. That's genuinely all you need to tell a story a lot of the time. If you want, again, people always ask me for tips as well on like how to be a better photographer, and it's hard to give clean tips. But quite a simple one is when you do a shoot, and again, I don't care what the shoot is, fashion, news, portrait, product, get a wide, get a mid, and get a tight, and you'll have a story of that shoot, or whatever it is. So what is storytelling? That is what it is. Before a moment, after, before, during, after a moment in time, and if you get a wide, mid, tight, you can then tell that kind of story from there. Okay, and here's quite a simple example. Yeah, it's a shoot I did recently for the Globe here. It was about families who prep a lot. So this family here, they all come together and they all cook on Sundays. So mum, dad, and two little kids. Uh, this is quite a clean example. Like this is, so I'm just looking at. This is one of the kids going out and picking up all the kind of fresh herbs and veg that mum's then going to prep into the kind of food for the week. Here's a really simple version of this example, like the why, start with the why. Where is he? Where is this person? And the person's in this little world. Obviously, we know we're somewhere that's quite homely because that fence looks like kind of like a home fence, not a kind of park or somewhere else. Obviously it's quite warm because there's nice big sun coming down. He's wearing shorts, all that kind of stuff. So we kind of get a rough feeling of where we are straight away. And we move on to this kind of mid shot here. And this mid, we now see him doing the thing. He's now doing the thing. He is drinking the water, as I said. He is picking the veg off the thing. Also behind him, as part of the background, we see a kind of like house structure. Now we might not see it straight away and know that's his house, but at least your brain's filling it in and going, that's not a big tall building, that's not something else. That looks like a house to me. And it was, that is his house. And then the kind of tight brings you right in to that kind of moment. And that's the moment I picked was just him putting the herbs into the actual box he was going to carry. This was a tiny little thing of a much bigger shoot, but I just found these three pictures and thought they were quite a good example of how you can tell a story and what wide, mid, tight actually means. There we go. Okay, so trying to tell the story again. So obviously this is more work for the BBC. So we start at the kind of top. Like where is she? This is almost it's probably more of a mid, but it's a kind of mid, kind of a midi wide. We can tell she's at BBC Radio 1 because it says it on the wall. Okay, fine. Um, but then we see stuff around her, all this music, all this this radio stuff. We know where she is. The better wide really is this one here. We're surrounded. We are surrounded by all these people, all these cameras, all these lights, all the cables on the floor that you don't see when you're actually when you see the final piece. So this really puts us in the world. We know we're behind the scenes. We know where we are. We're in the Radio 1 live lounge, 100%. Then this one here, she's just, she's doing the actual thing. She's singing the song, she's doing her thing. It's nice, we know what she's doing. And then this last one at the end, I mean, is this a tie? It's kind of like a MIDI tie. You could crop in, I could have got a bit close to her. But this was a shot that I took after she kind of been done and finished, which really kind of tells that story. She just seems a lot more calm. She seems a little bit tired in a kind of nice way. She seems a bit more chill and relaxed. Same thing down here for Corinne Bailey Ray. And by the way, if anyone just knows her as that girl put your record on singer, she's a lot more than that. She's amazing. And hearing both these two people actually sing live is something I'll never forget. It's crazy how good people are. Again, similar kind of thing. This is Corinne and her partner. I forgot his name. Oh, I used to know it. But yeah, I'm putting you in the kind of scene. Okay, so here we are. We're in Maida Vale. We're here. We're in this. It's actually a big famous room. This is a room where I think Bing Crosby recorded White Christmas. Is it White Christmas? Anyway, it's a very very famous room that a lot of big people have been in. And these two kind of midi wides kind of both work. But we're putting her in the scene. We can see all these big drapes behind her. We can see the kind of boxes down here. We can definitely see this is a kind of music space. And again, it's very similar actually even with the arms, this one up here. Here she is, she's doing her thing. It's actually quite a wide, I think I put in the uncropped version. I think I cropped that in actually when I sent this one in. But this big wide here, again, puts her in that space even more. Going in for a bit of a mid, so detail and stuff. So we can see her partner, playing the piano. We see all these. We know what he's doing because you can see all the strings. That's not the way you call them, but wherever the thing is that pianos do. We kind of know where we are again. And again, facing this one up here, a nice tight. We're getting in tight with her. We're getting close to her. This is after she finished singing, and she was a bit more playful, a bit more fun. She wants to play behind the kind of curtain. So we did a whole shoot of her kind of playing with that. But again, that is the kind of story. You can see there's almost a kind of through line on both of these, all the way from here to here. It's almost mid, wide, mid, tight, mid, wide, mid, tight. You don't have to go wide, mid, tight, obviously. Yeah, if anyone who doesn't really understand, I'm sure a lot of people do get that and understand it. I'm saying very obvious things, but anyone who doesn't get that, just next time you watch a movie or a TV show, whatever, just just try and think about it. If you see a wide shot, look, okay, wide, and then they'll probably cut to a mid, and maybe to a wide, and maybe to a tight, maybe to a mid. So just start, anyone who's not sure about this and wants to get better at it, just when you're watching TV, actively watch the TV and look at how they're cutting around scenes and all that kind of stuff. Storytelling when you can't control your subject. So this is more about the red carpet stuff. I think it's probably my best example of this. This is Charlie XCX. I was actually booked to take this picture. The client who booked me promised me that I get a nice clean shot of her and it'd be really great. And then when I got there on the day, that's not what happened. They told a few too many people and word had kind of gotten out. But this was a job for Magnum, Magnum the ice cream, and they were sponsoring at Cannes. They wanted a picture of her holding the ice cream at Cannes, looking famous. So I had to fight someone's mum for this picture, believe it or not. Someone's mum, who daughters loved Charlie XCX, had pushed away to the front and was kept pushing into me. And I had a big flash in the camera and telling me to put my hand down and get out of the way. And I said, "I'm sorry, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get in the front and be here because I have to be here. This is my actual job." So I had to actually fight someone's mum for this picture. But anyway, but the story is here. The story is there. Like Charlie XCX is there, nice and shut. She's wearing the Gucci frames. The lights on this palm tree here. If anyone who's been to Cannes, they're quite famous. Those lights on the palm tree. So it does place it, not very, very clearly, but it does actually place it. And then obviously the main product is here, nice and clean, but a nice little crack on it. And obviously
Gabriel, I think
Magden loves that crack thing. Quite good. Yeah.
that's
Oh.
fine. You just broke, your
Oh, sorry.
connection broke up
Yeah, I saw that.
momentarily only. You
I
were
saw
saying
that.
about the
Yeah.
crack on the ice cream on the Magnum.
Yeah. Yeah, cracking the ice cream, that's kind of a very commercial thing, but you have to think about these things. The brands want to see their kind of product in the right way. And then obviously being around all these big scary men with big suits who are pushing, and then all the hands with phones coming up, it places it in a big busy place like Cannes. So that's a good example of quick storytelling where you really haven't got much power, but you can choose what to put in the kind of frame. I think that leads me on, yes, nicely to what to pick, what to put in, and to what to not put in. Okay. So this is Giancarlo Esposito, I think I say his name, from Breaking Bad and many other things. Again, this was during Cannes, and I had been placed in the Carlton just to try and grab people as they came out, as celebrities, just to tap them almost as they came out. So during this time, there was someone being photographed over there, and I got my shot, so I kind of turned around. I just saw him walking down the hallway towards me. And I was like, wow, that's him. That's Giancarlo. But rather than just jump on him and start shooting, I want to see what he was doing, where he was going. And I forget what it was, but he had to go to the front desk, I think, to get his key. I think he'd lost a key or something, and had to go and get something from the front desk guy. So I asked him for a portrait, and I shot this one first, which is a nice clean portrait of him. He's got his little hat on, he's got his bow tie, it's all really good. It's fine, it doesn't really tell you much of a story, but it does, it's a nice clean picture of someone. But the picture on the right, just by turning the camera to the side, suddenly you suddenly the story's crazy, okay? Like this lovely big rapping line helps a lot as well, I gotta admit. But this big cheesy smiling bellman guy here is great. He's behind the keys. We know that he's the keeper of these keys. Kind of thing. Like this baggage trolley thing wasn't really clear in this picture, but it's a lot more clear as you know what it is now. Okay, so think about what you want to take out and what you want to make sure that you show. That's how you tell a story. And it's good. It's a quite good example of how just turning a camera from here to here tells so much more of a story. Nothing's changed. I've not done anything different, not changed a single setting or anything, but instantly you know where he is a lot more. Okay. Pedro, hey boy. Here is again. What is the kind of wider story? Like when you can't pose people or make sure they look a certain way or do a certain thing, what is the wider story you can maybe tell then? So obviously this shot up here on the kind of right, this is at what you call a photo call. It's when the celebrities come and they just stand in front of photographers and kind of awkwardly look around for a while. They will shout at you. It's quite crazy and intense, but that's a perfectly nice frame of him. He's doing a cute little eye thing. That one went really well. People loved that shot. But for me, what the main story was this story here. So this is Lux. This is his sister. Now, she's obviously been in the news. There's been a lot of like drama about her because she's actually trans, and she and obviously some people have problems with that. And but Pedro has been a great kind of like brother to her and been a rock and always been very outspoken about being in it on the kind of side. So this frame here are them two on the main red carpet of Cannes, both smiling but not looking at each other, but smiling at different things. Tells so much more of a story. And then this picture of her down here with her hand on his back. That tells so much more of a story about him and her and like their relationship and how he protects her and they feel safe together than this picture up here of him just looking kind of cool and like trendy. So you can always think like you might not be able to, might not be able to show anything, but what's the wider story that you can maybe pull out? You can't always, but there are times you can. So this is a good example of the time that I kind of was able to kind of try and do that. Human moments. Mm. Um, yeah, celebrities always do like human stuff. I think because people think they're these people on screens or on their phones that they not real people, but humans are sorry, celebrities are really normal, normal people. This is Ryan Reynolds and his mum Tammy, I believe her name is. This was during TIFF this year. And he was getting some sort of fake argument with someone about his mum, like, I forget what it was, but it was really nice and human. Like, he went over and he gave her a hug and he was, pointing at someone else and shouting in a kind of chill out, fun way. But it just felt really nice. His mum just felt like she was laughing. Look at her face. She's really laughing. Like, she's having fun. It's just a nice human moment. And that tells so much more of a story than them two just posed against the wall, flashed, kind of, not normally. So, some kind of more examples of that. Um, so this one in the middle, Emily Blunt during TIFF, one of the kind of fans on the walk to the red carpet had drawn a big line on her arm. You can just see it, just here. You can't see it probably, just there. Drawn a big silver line down her arm with one of their signing pens. And her PR was laughing about trying to hide it, and we were all laughing. We were talking to her and laughing, like Emily, it's fine, it's fine. And she was laughing, and that's just a natural picture of her laughing. Like, would that sell very well? Probably not, because be like eyes are shut, her hands are in her pockets. It's not a really great pose picture, but that's really who she is, and I kind of like that about her. Same as this one down here of Kirsten Stewart. I think it's is it Imogen Pooch she's with? I think at this point there's been something about Poots was getting a lot of like being shouted at quite a lot, and Cousin Stewart came back to her to talk to her and kind of say, hey, it's all good. Like me and you are gonna go do it together. She kind of calmed her down a little bit. There's a real nice moment in there. Same thing at Can again. This one over here on the left. This is ASAP and Spike Lee. They were doing a film together this year. I could have just a lot of these pictures, but this was one where it was obviously Spike's been to Cannes a million times. ASAP Rocky is his first time being in the film. He didn't really know what to do. So during this whole photo call, Spike Lee was kind of helping ASAP around and showing what to do and posing him. So this is one of the moments where I actually liked when they were kind of like playing together, and he kept jokingly saying to pose, and it was just a real human moment. It just they both looked like children, they looked like kids playing together, not grown ups who are doing a big film. Um, and then same, I forgot this woman's name. I feel really bad. But again, it's the same thing down here. They were looking the wrong way, and someone from our side was kept, shouting at her and saying like funny things. And she just laughed at one of them and just turned around and gave him a little, smile. It's just nice to have something different like that. Coleman Domingo is a great guy. He's in that new film Running Man. Actually, I think I want to watch that. This was him on a job that I was doing, and I asked him just to I got him to kind of pose against his kind of like beach hut we were on was some sort of beach here in Cannes. And after I got the pose pitch, I said, "Do you want us like run around on kind of beach for a second?" So we did. We just went on the beach and we just took a step left and right and forward and back and laughed together. And that's what I got of him. A real nice, genuine picture of him in Cannes in the full sun with the branding who I was shooting for behind him. I was shooting for IHG, who own one of the places there. So got the branding in there, got him looking nice and natural and tells a story. So celebrities are real people. Just treat them like that. It's so much easier. Oh yes, and talking about our wide mid type thing, details. Don't forget the little details. Go in and get them. Spike Lee in his little glasses. He had these famous orange and blue glasses. Go in tight and pick up them. Same thing I think actually with Tom Cruise. Like Tom Cruise wouldn't take those glasses off during the photo call. So rather than not shoot it, I made them part of the thing and got him actually like touching them and interacting with them. Similar thing, jewelry is a great one to capture, especially if it's big celebrities. Get lovely bits of jewelry down here, and let's just draw up here, and then tattoos, things like that you don't normally see on something. It's actually kind of fun to go and capture. So yeah, so don't forget all the small things. Wide mid tight, guys. Wide mid tight. That is the tight. Okay, so I thought I'd try and pull out some stories that I've shot before or jobs that I've shot and try and explain how they are and what they're kind of trying to tell. I couldn't decide what to show, so sorry if they don't make complete sense, but hopefully there's enough here to understand. So this was a small story about this guy who builds these lovely bits of art. He's a great guy. Tony's his name. He's a great artist. So firstly, what I tried to do was put him in his space. He's got this lovely big warehouse where he works. He builds these crazy structures and little houses and little bits of art everywhere. So show him in his really big space. This main picture here, that's him in his main workshop. So you can see everything. You see all these chains, all the texture, it's dark, it's a bit smoky in there because he smokes a lot. Like all these things are there. You know where we are. And then again, the kind of mid coming to the left over here, or both of these. This is him in his space. A bit more of a midi shot than the like mid wide. But again, you see his space. This one on the left here is black and white. You see him actually doing the kind of work. So you really know, oh, this guy works here and he does this work here. Then afterwards, it looks like this over here, back to the kind of wide mid tight thing. This is the stone after he's done carving it and cutting up and all that kind of stuff. Uh, that tells a story. Bang, bang, bang. You know what he's doing. And then his hands down here because he was, smoking. It's a nice bit of depth and texture, and then a nice tight portrait of him in here. So that's quite nice. I'm just putting someone in their space and capturing them in their space. This one here is actually quite a recent job I did for the Globe and a Mail here. This is a woman called Marnie Jackson. She's a great writer, and she's come down with Parkinson's, unfortunately, over the last couple of years. Parkinson's obviously it leads to not being able to control your hands and shakiness and all that kind of stuff. So it's really sad. But she's really great. So what she's done to help herself with the Parkinson's was take up boxing. I forget how old she is, but she's not the kind of person you think would be boxing at her kind of age. So this one I kind of went quite clear and quite kind of obvious. I went, well, I'm going to put her in an actual boxing ring because she's in a fight. She's fighting against this sad thing she has going on with her. So I wanted to have her literally in the ring. It sounds kind of on the nose. It's a bit on the nose, really, but she's in a fight. Put her in the kind of ring. Is anyone with her? No, it's only her by herself because she can't see the things she's trying to fight against in real life. So again, it's just her in that space. You can be quite obvious when you think of it like this. And then the portrait that I did with her, I made sure that it was all kind of blurry and movement-y to kind of talk about how the hands shake and how she's using that blurriness and that shakiness to feel stronger. And then obviously when I then sent the files in, the client decided to call it the whole story, punching back in the ring with Parkinson's. Punching back in the ring with Parkinson's. That's what they decided to call the whole thing. So I think that's a little bit of proof that it might feel a little bit, obvious and boring, but actually it kind of works really well, some of this stuff. Next one. Medium.
Gabriel, this is Ellie just flagging time because we have a few nice questions on the chat.
Okay. How long do I have left? Sorry.
So we have 5 minutes to conclude, so it would be
Yeah.
nice to have some questions. But in
All
any
right.
case, we will be sharing your presentation at the follow-up email so that everyone
Okay.
has access.
Well, okay. I'll tell you what. Well, I'm gonna run through this last one here, and then
Awesome.
I will take some questions. Okay. So there's one big one here I just want to show you guys, which is this one here, which is a big commercial story. Obviously, the last one's about kind of like news and that kind of stuff. So how do you this was a job about branding for a new building being built, but they didn't have the building built yet. It wasn't finished. So how do you tell a story about a whole area, about a space, a place? It's not a real thing, it's a space, a feeling. So I went for it through people. So I went and found all different people in the area, artists, local like business owners, people in there, dogs even. Then I went through and I found the kind of places they were in, the places that they existed, the kind of textures, the wides, the mids, the tights of all the areas around there. Okay, putting that together again, a bit faster now. Culture. What things are they doing? What things are these people doing? They're going on this like run club. They're playing drums in this guy's drum shop. They're playing pool in this trendy little bar. They're playing drums at a workshop. They're playing in the gym. It tells a story. Okay, so much. And then eventually the space, right? And this is the commercial shoot for the actual project. This is the final finished building, putting people in their space. Okay, so making sure that this woman here, waking up in the morning, you can know there's lots of light coming in because it's nice and natural lighty. You're telling a story. It's morning, there's daylight, there's depth. This one here of a husband and wife kind of couple. She's getting ready, he's brushing his teeth. You know that there's a big room in that. There's depth. There's a story being kind of told there. Same kind of thing with all these ones around here. So this is how I kind of do storytelling in quite a kind of commercial way. Okay. So what I'm going to do, because I'm running out of time, so I'm going to skip to this one just here, run through this, and then we'll go. So this is another news story about migrant farmers. So again, people who come from a different country to come to this country to work and farm, how to tell it's a big story. It's thousands, and you can't tell it in one go. So again, people, find the people, show all the people. Where are these people working? This is where they're working and living. These are the spaces that they're in. You can tell the whole story between those two kind of things. Okay, and then that's what it looks like when it's in like print. That's what a print version of that story would then look like. So just to run on some final thoughts on here for everyone. Use books and articles to learn, not the internet or YouTube. Obviously, if you have a problem, go onto YouTube and Google it. You'll find a guy who did it 10 years ago to how to fix it. But don't these photographers who spend their whole lives just on YouTube teaching how to do it. I don't really think that's as great as it could be. Do personal work. The personal work will always get you paying jobs. So many of these jobs I'm showing you now came from personal jobs. You probably won't shoot like your favorite photographer. It's actually a big one for me. I love a photographer called Gregory Crewdson. I don't shoot anything like him, but I love his stuff. It took me a long time to kind of be fine with that. You're going to be bad for a long time. This is actually me stealing a quote from Ira Glass. But the problem with being a creative when you're young is you know what good things look like. You know what good, you have good taste, but you aren't making it yet. So you don't get down on yourself. Let your skills catch up to what your brain knows, okay? You be somewhere where you're scared. You need to feel scared in order to grow. I was a bit scared to do this kind of talk, okay? But I'm probably going to grow as a kind of like doing this. So when you feel scared, that probably means you're in the right place to kind of be. Go to events in real life. That's funny because we're on a Zoom call right now. But trust me, in real life, you meet people who will become your people. Trust me, that's how you do it. Yeah, find people who are kind of, better than you, one level above you, and help work with them and help them. They'll carry you to the next level. And then the last one I'm going to talk about is if you want to be a freelance person, again, photographer, filmmaker, whatever, you need to be okay with being in a constant state of discomfort. And what I mean by that is you need to feel like you always need to do a bit more, because you probably do need to do a bit more. You need to send a few more emails or go to a few more meetings or go to an event or two. Like feel uncomfortable, so you're always pushing yourself to work more. As soon as you get a bit lazy, you're gonna flatline. There's no one's gonna come behind you and help you out and tell you what to do next. Only you are gonna do that. So feel a little bit awkward the whole time, okay? And you'll definitely grow more as a person. So great things started in little rooms, okay? We started in a little room. That's Andre 3000 had this quote the other day. And I thought it was the perfect quote. I feel like I've been in very small rooms in the start of my career. I'm now in like a medium room, maybe, getting there. So if anyone here on this call feels like they're in a small room or a little room, and that could be physically or mentally, don't worry, because big people start in small rooms. Okay. So just remember that. And that is the end. That is everything. I'll be launching a kind of like newslettery thing soon. So if anyone wants to stay in touch, all my stuff is down there and be shared obviously afterwards. And sorry if I've gone over time, but there we are. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Gabriel. And thank you everyone for joining us. Um,